Hello there. Now, welcome to the podcast. Today's guest is Jason Bai. Now, Jason's been a resident DJ on the island for over 30 years. He's probably best known these days for the sunset sessions at Mambo, but he has lived a life, to say the least. He's played all the major clubs. He has so much experience, and I can't think of anyone better to chat to than the evolution of Ibiza clubbing than Jason. So hope you enjoy it. He comes up with some great stuff, and it was a pleasure to chat to him. So here's today's podcast. It's My Ibiza Journey with Jason Bai. Enjoy.
This is the Man in Sanaan podcast with Martin Makepeace, number one for news and views from Ibiza.
Good morning. Welcome to the podcast. Got an Ibiza veteran with me today. The smallest DJ I know, but one of the nicest, or the top bloke. Morning, Jason Bai.
All good things come in small packages, mate.
They certainly do, mate. How are you, bud?
Yeah, I'm really good, really good.
Good to see you, mate. Thanks for taking the time to come
my
and
pleasure.
see me. What are you up to these days, pal?
Just walking the dog,
Yeah.
collecting firewood.
You've lived in Ibiza for many years now, mate, haven't you?
Yeah, on and off since 1993.
Right.
Yeah, that was my first season working, was 1993.
Yeah.
And,
But I'm talking all year round. Obviously, you've got a
all
family
year
now.
round, yeah. I mean, I stayed sort of like 97 in the winter, but I was in Barcelona as well, and was traveling around, but when I started the family, started the family 10 years ago, but I met my wife 17 years ago, and that's when we properly, just carried on.
You're a proper Ibiza resident these days, mate, aren't you?
I had to go and get my CIE card eventually.
You had to grow up sometimes, mate. Yeah. So, Jace, listen, this is a podcast called My Ibiza Journey, and I really wanted to get you on because, as I said, you're a Ibiza veteran, over 30 years on the island.
Yeah.
And mainly as a resident DJ, is that right?
Yeah. I started in CAFE Mambo in 1994 with Javi. I worked for him before that in a bar called Buccaneros in the Bay, just like PRing, collecting glasses, and selling. How did you get the job in Buccanero then? Well, it was really funny because I was giving out flyers for the Bull Bar, which is a bit further up the road. And my mate Steve Clack was working in Buccaneros PRing, and as I used to walk past PRing on the street, I used to stop and speak to him.
Yeah.
And then I carried on walking one night, and a little Scottish kid chased me up the road and asked me if he could have one of the flyers. And he took one of the flyers, and he ran back to Buccaneros and showed it to his dad, which was Javi. And then Javi turned around to my mate Steve and said, "What's your friend doing giving out flyers outside my bar?" So anyway, it all kicked off, and then Javi said, "Look, come and work for me."
Yeah.
And then so I started working for him, collecting glasses, like I said, and stuff. And I used to jump on the decks every now and then if Manolo would let me. And then that winter, I went back to London, got all my records together, started practicing, and then came back in 94. And Javi said that he'd bought a place and called it CAFE Mambo. Yeah. He said, "Do you want to come down and play?" So I went down and played there, and Carl Cox was in.
Were you there on the opening party?
No. First time I went there was probably mid-August,
right? Okay.
And I think it had already been open since maybe the early June, something like that.
One of my claim to fame is I was there on the opening day of Mambo. I spoke to Javi about it not too long ago, actually. But Javi's played a very important part in your progression, hasn't he?
A lot.
Because you started in 94 in Mambo, and you're still there, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be the longest residency ever, really. It's just...
Maybe that's we can put that claim to fame out there, Bizzy.
Maybe get the Guinness Book of Records over. I mean, Javi supported me so much in the beginning because... when I came to the island, I was just like every other worker. You just went round every night looking for a job and somewhere to live for the summer, and you start spending all the money that you'd had to save, and then eventually you find a job like I was sleeping on sunbeds on the beach and stuff like that, and then and he took me in and he just said to me, "You have talent," he said, "but you just need confidence like that." And I said, "Okay." So then. And in a lot of ways, he has given me that confidence to be what I am now because, I understand what I'm capable of, and he gave me that chance to do it. And, and I've had so much experience. I mean, the amount of sunsets I've played at Mambo over the years is unbelievable.
Do you still like those sunsets?
I love it.
Yeah. I mean, how do you get because, I mean, you were one of the first DJs I remember because you played very, not odd music, but you played great music. You know, like I remember when you played, I used to play Depeche Mode.
Depeche Mode, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah,
No,
Policy of Truth.
Policy of Truth. And you just went, yeah, bosh, and put it on.
Yeah.
I thought, hold on a minute. Bies is playing like 80s, so 90s music at Mambo. How'd you get the balance right?
Well, I think I'm just really, really lucky to have the perfect taste that suits Mambo because, you know, obviously being born in the early 70s, my musical knowledge sort of started kicking in, I suppose, late 70s. And then once the 80s kicked and it was very electronic and stuff. And you know, and that was my era. And then to have an opportunity to play that kind of music in that environment. And you know, sometimes, you know, you can go a bit too far one way with something like an 80s track or whatever, a commercial track. But then sometimes you can be really eclectic and you know, and everyone make everyone stand up and go, oh wow, I didn't ever expect to hear a track like that in an environment like this.
I've done that many times where I've got, and even when I'm on the boat outside, I'm like, Bies is playing tonight, right? Because I know it's one of you. Not that it's one of your tunes, but I know you're the only person will put that music on.
A lot of people say that to me. It's like. I've had people coming in while I'm playing like Jean-Michel Jarre, Oxygen and stuff, and they're like, I knew it was you.
What a tune that is.
Yeah, and they was like, I knew it was you before I even walked in the door. And a lot of people said that to me, and I think, you know, that is the way that I think the music should go in a bar like that.
Do you know when you go, I've got sunset, you don't do every sunset, mate, do you?
No, I mean, there is times like during the summer where I might do like 6 days in a row.
So when you know you're doing the sunset, do you go to the club with preconceived records, or do you just literally play it by
No. Mambo, I never. I sometimes I think, I wonder how this track will sound, and I'll add it to my sunset folder, but I'll only play it if I think the sunset will suit it, because I look at the sunset, you know, an hour before, and I sort of predict what kind of sunset it's going to be. You know, if it's going to be cloudy, if it's going to, you know, if it's going to be burning through the clouds, if it's like just going to come out at the last minute and stuff. And I've got so many different records that suit certain scenarios, and I get so many people coming up 10 minutes before say, what you going to play? And I said, well, I've got 3 tracks lined up here, and it could be either one of them, and I don't know. And I'm still not going to tell you what it is.
How do you get Nessun Dorma to finish at the end of the sunset?
Well, that is really fortunate, really, because approximately the time it takes the sun to, once it touches the horizon and then to go down, it approximately takes like 3 minutes, maybe 3 minutes 20, depending on the time of the summer. And Nessun Dorma is roughly around 3 minutes anyway.
Really?
But the thing is you still got to be on the dot, because so what I have to do is sometimes I've even got 2 pairs of sunglasses on just so I can see when, you know, the sun actually clips the horizon, because you know, there could be a boat in the way, you know, there could be a cloud there or whatever. And sometimes it's really easy, and then sometimes, you know, you can see it the last 10 seconds and you're like, I've got to get this. You know, I play in the club in front of thousands, and I still don't feel the pressure that I feel when I do the sunset at Mambo.
Who knew that sunset tunes would be such an exact science?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Listen, I could talk about the sunset at Mambo all day. However, let's go back to the beginning, Jace, because I like to get a bit of background, and also because I think where you come from has a big bearing of how your life pans out in front of you. So just give me a bit of background. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Hackney until I was 10 years old, and then we moved to Walthamstow.
Yeah.
E17, and I was there until I was about 19, 20, until I started moving on.
Okay. And how would you describe your upbringing?
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, I lived with my grandparents until I was 10, and then I moved in with my mum, my stepdad, and my sister when I was 10. That's when we moved to Walthamstow. My stepdad, who was my best man at my wedding, that says it all, really.
Don't say anymore, mate.
Do you know what I mean?
So
and you know, and they encouraged me with everything I did. You know, they never said to me, you know, oh, what are you going to play records for? Go and get a real job. I mean, I went to college and did my City and Guilds in brickwork. So, you know, I did what I said I was going to do. And then after that, they said, you can go and do whatever you want.
Going back to your stepdad, that's an interesting scenario, because, you know, sometimes that can upset the apple cart, can't it? But obviously it sounds like it went the opposite way for you.
You know, because he was so funny, you know, he made us laugh all the time. He played the guitar, Right, you know, he loved his music. You know, I would go through all his record collection. I would listen to the Stones, the Beatles, the Who. You know, he would show me videos of the Who on tour and stuff like that. And, you know, and he was brilliant at football. Yeah. He loved playing golf, you know, so I'd be out playing golf.
Up your...
Yeah, and just so...
Ticking your boxes.
And you know, and when I left school, before I went to college, you know, I went to work with him at the timber yard and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and
yeah. So he was a real positive
I
influence in
think
your
at
life.
that moment of being like, you know, 10 years old, I think I really needed a role model, and he was perfect. Absolutely.
What's his name?
Perfect. Roger.
Yeah. Well done, mate. Well done, pal. So you left school, bricklaying. Tell me about this bricklaying thing, then.
Well, I don't know why I picked that. It was like, you know, you can be a mechanic, you could be an electrician, you could be a bricklayer. They said, just get a trade. You know, you knew you weren't going to be a doctor or anything like that. And so...
Doctor of music.
Yeah. So for some reason, I just picked bricklaying. I don't know why. And then, I still loved playing with Lego when I was a kid, but I don't know if that was... I really did. Every Christmas, it was like, I want the Lego Star Wars this, the Lego Star Wars that.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
I loved it. And then I went to college, and I remember I passed my practical. It was 2 years, but I think I'd failed on my theory. I was like, I've done it now. Do you know what I mean? And I went out on site for a little bit in the Isle of Dogs, and I think we was earning like 50 quid a week, you know, and it just weren't enough. And I just thought, right, I'm going to, you know, so actually I had to go and work in McDonald's for a while to get the money to come to Ibiza.
Yeah.
And if you worked in the West End in London, it was like the rate was more than if you did on the outskirts of London. So me and my mate Steve, we went and worked in McDonald's in Oxford Street, and then got enough money to come to Ibiza. And
where did Ibiza come into it then? Was it part of the plan, or did you save up? Or
well, no, it was 92. I came on a Club 18 to 30 holiday.
Who was your rep?
John Ulysses.
Yes, I knew that was going to be it.
And
well, he's Hackney. John's Hackney anyway, isn't he?
Yeah, he's that way.
Did you get on with him?
Oh, well, you know, me and him have been. We call each other soul brothers. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Did you get on with him in 92 though?
Yeah, he was such a big character, you know, and he never had any dreadlocks then. His hair was really short.
First time I ever saw John Ulysses, he was doing the conga down the West End, by the way. He'll hate me for saying that because he's obviously Mr. Cool these days, but he was congering down the West End.
Was he on roller skates as well? He used to love his roller skates as well. But the thing is, he was an icon, you know. It was like when he was in Simples, he really drew the people in there, you know, because like everyone wanted to see him, you know, and he was such a lively character.
He wants to do the podcast. Well, he said he's happy to join me on the podcast. Sure, so I can't wait because Jules from Simple as well was talking about John, because it's funny how you have these influences through your life. Did he influence you at the start? Musically?
Well, yeah, I suppose so, because we came from the same part of London. We was very into that same kind of house and garage kind of vibe and stuff, and I remember like we was talking a few times when I was on that holiday, and I remember we actually had a breakdancing competition in Coppers, I think, or something like that. And then
which you won, obviously.
Yeah. and then when I did come back to work the following year in Buccaneros, I think he'd left Club 1830 then, and that's when he started DJing.
Yeah.
And I remember going to listen to him a few times, and I think he might have actually like pushed me a bit by me thinking, well, I'm not going to let him get away with just being a DJ. I'm going to be a DJ as well, you know. And then it was funny because years later, I think it was maybe 99 or 2000, we played back to back on the opening of Space, and we recorded the album live, you know, for the Space, for that summer's CD. So it was, you know, it was to meet someone in 92. And then like 8 years later, like in an environment where I wasn't a DJ, he wasn't a DJ. And then, you know, 8 years later, we're both playing on this Space opening on the terrace, you know, where everyone wants to play.
It's a great story, man.
Yeah, and
I mean, what's the odds of that? Eh?
Yeah, I know, it's incredible.
What's the odds?
Yeah.
Especially when he's a Holly rep, you're a guest.
Yeah, I know. It's the Ibiza dream, isn't it?
And also, you know, Space at that time, what was that, 90? Did you say 99?
99, yeah. I mean, it's the best club in the world.
I mean, it was just like the top of the tree. Were you resident of Space at the time?
Yeah, I was playing every Sunday.
Okay, let's wind back a bit, because I want to go to I want to join the dots of that.
Yeah, there's a bit before that.
Yeah, I'm join the dots. So you came on a holiday.
Yeah.
Did you know during the holiday that you wanted to come back to Ibiza? Were you saying, this is what I want to do?
Yes. I fell in love with it.
And what drew you to it?
I think, first of all, it felt like I was running away, which felt good.
Yeah.
You know, to get away from everything that I didn't like about being at home, you know, not doing the job I want to do, you know, never having any money or anything. And I think I fell in love with that kind of community feel, that I felt like I was part of something.
Yeah.
You know, Ibiza felt like it was going to be something, even though it was already something. It felt like it was going to be something bigger.
Did you pick that up on the first holiday? Did you like get the
No,
vibes?
on the first holiday, I think I just looked around and I thought, this is amazing. You know, I just feel like I'm at home. When I landed and you know, I just felt like I was at home. I didn't feel anxious about anything. I just felt like I could do anything I wanted to do.
Because what age were you?
I would have been, when I first came here, I would have been 20. And then, so when I came back to work, even though I should have gone home many times because I had no money or I had a bit of trouble or whatever, there was something was saying, if I go home, it's like I've give up. You know, I'm going to see everybody at the end of the summer who does come back to London. They're going to go, what a wicked summer. And I would have missed it. And I think, and that was the other thing in the old days as well. You could never, if you was living here, even if you wasn't working, you couldn't stay in because you couldn't sit at home and watch TV or have the internet or, you know, because there was none of that. Well, there was TV, but there was nothing worth watching. And if you wasn't out, you felt like you was missing out on something, like you would have missed something funny happening in Peppers or something, or, you know, Elko's thrown someone out the bar and it would have been hilarious. You know, you just...
Also, we were a lot younger, Brad.
More energy.
Jason, a lot younger. So let's join the dots. So 92 Club A30 holiday, 93 you've come back booking there, and 94 your first big break. Did you start DJing in Mambo in 94? Yeah,
so I went down and played in like I said, mid-August maybe. And I wasn't actually here for the summer. I was just coming back. I came back as a forward 4 times. And Javi said, well, how long are you here for? I said, another 2 weeks. He said, right, come play every day after that, the first time I played in this. So I played every day for 2 weeks. And then I went back to London and I said to Javi, I'm coming back next week. I want to play some more. So I came back and then we had the end of season Kiss FM team came over, you know, and so it was really busy in the bar and I was playing again. And then Javi, I remember we were sitting in his car, he was driving me somewhere and he says, what do you want to do next year? Do you want to be resident or not? And I was like, of course. Yeah. And I said, okay. So he said, come back like really early season. He goes on, I want you to help me get the bar ready. So I came back in 1995, maybe like the end of March or something. I had a dog called Buster. So I flew him over as well. And then Javi got us a house just near where he was living. And I said, when are you going to open? He says, not for another couple of months. So he says, you know, there's a paintbrush. Yeah. There's a pot of paint.
Classic Ibiza.
Yeah. And so,
crack on.
And it was actually really good because it was exciting. You know, he was down there I was with all the other people getting the bar ready, you know, let's get the amps in, let's get the speakers in. Yeah. You know, that needs painting.
So you were part of the whole process of opening up, part of the team.
Yeah, and I just enjoyed it, you know, and then...
Tell me about the vibe at Mambo in 94, 95.
It was a nice version of the Wild Wild West, you know. It was like the doors would swing open and you just didn't know who was going to walk in. It could be Jeremy Ely, it could be Brandon or Alex, you know, and if it was them two, you know, you was in for a crazy night. Could be Carl Cox, Sasha,
because
John Galliano.
Cafe Del Mar, until Mambo opened, everyone kind of... I mean, I was never a massive Cafe Del Mar fan, but everyone kind of went in that direction. When Mambo opened, everyone kind of went in Mambo direction, especially the Brits.
What the thing was is the Cafe Del Mar, you know, was renowned for the sunset, and Jose made that famous there, and you know...
Padilla.
Yeah, Padilla, and you can never take that away from the Cafe Del Mar because... You know, they brought that energy down there and created that in the first place and set the scene with the sound and stuff and the music that's played. And then...
It was very brave of Javi to open Cafe Del Mar,
totally. I mean, in the beginning, it was like we used to get people for Sunset and obviously the Del Mar would be very busy. But eventually, we just started getting really, really busy at Sunset.
I wonder what it was, because the thing was, I had this chat with Javi not long ago as well, you know, that he didn't actually know what he was creating at the time.
Yeah,
did he?
true. Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
and
yeah.
he'd be the first to admit that.
Yeah,
by the way.
we just didn't know what to do. We
Yeah.
knew what we was doing in
Yeah.
how to run a bar, but didn't know how to run a bar with so many faces
Yeah.
and people that, you know, need a little bit more needs than your average punter, you know, and you know, you need to have that hospitality.
Well, there was a surfboard on the roof.
Yeah.
There was white plastic chairs.
Yeah.
And there was sand in front.
Yeah,
Right? And
yeah.
it was a beach bar, wasn't
Yeah,
it? He opened,
yeah.
not as a sunset bar.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, of course, a sunset,
Yeah.
but it was a beach bar, wasn't
Yeah.
it? And I think it was the force of personality of Javi himself that just people just came to see him, didn't they?
I mean, he is the best host ever.
Yeah.
You know, if anyone wants to make you feel at home, Javi will. And he recognises everybody who comes in there. Like sometimes he has to ask me, what's his name again?
Yeah.
But he'll spot anybody.
No, he knows him, yeah.
Yeah, you know, he never forgets. And every time they come in, he just, you know, looks after them. You know, if they want to play some music, he's, yeah, come on, you can jump on and stuff. And, you know, and he gave that, you know, that energy to the bar that everyone just wanted to be there and everyone just wanted to talk to him.
Yeah. How long did you stay at Mambo for in the first stage? Were you there for several years?
Yeah, what happened was is like I was full time in '95. I would start at 2:00 in the afternoon and finish at 2:00 in the morning. But I mean, I would have other DJs come in, but I would be there for that time. I mean, I would even have my dog there with me as well. It was that easy going, you know. And then I used to go after 2:00. I would get on my moped and like a rucksack with vinyl, and I would either go and play at MANUMISSION or I'd go and play.
So by then you got scouted by the big boys.
Yeah,
then,
because as soon as Mambo opened in '95, within a month or so of me DJing, the guys from MANUMISSION came down. They said, "Oh, we'd really like you to close the back room. I can't remember what it's called. The room at the back of Co, which was then changed to Privilege and now Universe." And then I was like, oh, "Okay." So I went down there and done that for them. And then a guy from Amnesia turned up like a week later and said, "Oh, we're looking for someone to play the Espuma parties at Amnesia, the foam parties." So I said, "All right." He said, and you know, I didn't even have a mobile phone, I don't think, you know, I think I might have had a pager or something. You know, so I get on my moped like on a Sunday night or a Thursday night. It was like the first time I ever played in Amnesia. And I went up there on my own, you know, and I just pulled up in the car park and got off my bike and I went to the main door and there's loads of people everywhere. And this big guy called Tony Roach just pushed everyone out of the way and he grabbed me. And he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I've been asked to come and DJ." And he said, "Okay, come with me." And he pulled me through the door, took me through the crowd, took me straight up the staircase to the DJ box. And they plonked me in front of the DJ box. They said, "Well, go ahead then," like that. And I was like, you know, I didn't know anybody in there. There's foam going everywhere. I mean, I think
it was Thursdays, wasn't it? Phone
yeah,
play Thursday.
because Cream took over Thursdays the year after, but yeah, it was Thursdays and Sundays, and so I was under the impression that it didn't go very well, and because like I didn't really know what I was doing, and then so then they came down to Mambo and said, "Oh, can you come back and do it on Sunday?" I said, "Okay." So I got onto a friend of mine, Stuart B, who I'd been DJing with quite a lot, and he used to show me a lot of things. He's a good DJ, and he was the DJ at the Star Club, which is Chaos and now is Eden. And I said, look, I was playing Richie Rich, Salsa House, I was playing, you know, Strings of Life and stuff like that. He says, "They're not going to know that music." He says, "You got to play techno in there on a spooner. You got to play this, you got to play that." So I said, "Will you come with me?" He said, "All right." So he came down with me, and it was so good that they said to us, "Right, you two are the resident DJs now." So it was like, so then that was that. So I was doing MANUMISSION on Mondays. I was doing Amnesia on a Thursday and a Sunday. And I was doing another party for a guy called Alan Warman and Paul Dennis.
Yeah, what were you doing for them two? I've just had Alan on the podcast actually.
He had,
I love his stories, by the way.
They had a party at Coup on a Thursday called Divine.
Right, okay.
And then, but they would be 1 week, and then Cream would be the alternate week. So they did that for that summer.
Wow.
And so then Cream came to me as well, and they were like, "Well, can you do the closing of Cream after?" I think it was Nicky Holloway was playing or Graham Park was playing. So I went and played Coup in the main room, 6 till 9 in the morning. You know, the sun was coming up. I just never seen anything like it. I don't even really DJ in like over about a year.
It was really quite a rapid rise for
unbelievable.
you,
It was like,
and you're on your moped, aren't you?
Yeah, on my moped,
that.
and then my dog on the moped as well. And I was just, and I was like, and I was selling loads of tapes. Sometimes I sell like 500 tapes in a day in Mega Music down the West End. Aitor, who run the Mega Music, he was also the resident DJ in Coppers when I met him. And he taught me loads. He showed me.
He was technically. Everyone used to say to me that Aitor probably one of the best technical DJs.
Oh yeah, he was unbelievable. And all the DJs in San Antonio used to go to the shops and would buy whatever he told us to buy. He was that good.
Talk to me about the super clubs, Jace, because you've played all of them, haven't you?
Yeah.
So you played, as you said, MANUMISSION.
Yeah.
What was those MANUMISSION days like?
Oh, brilliant. I mean, it was me, Griff, and. I'm not sure Jay was there in the first year because I only did like the first few months of '99.
Jay.
It was just Jay, I think. I can't remember.
I know you mean, but I can't remember what his surname is.
And
JC, I think it was.
JC was
not John Constantine. No. Another, I think it was JAYC. I think.
And MANUMISSION was crazy.
It's crazy, wasn't it?
He'd have like, people walking around in sacks of potatoes. And things like that. And
they were did you ever do the toilets in MANUMISSION?
No,
because they were the first to bring the.
Yeah, but I'm sort of glad I didn't because it was,
We'll talk about the toilets later because I know you do.
It's not like the higher toilets in there. It wasn't like the higher toilets at all.
But the MANUMISSION boys were the creative geniuses, weren't they? Really?
Oh, it was brilliant.
What they did.
Yeah, the thing is they saw an opportunity to basically give the island a kick up the arse.
Yeah.
Because. Everyone was doing generic posters for the summer, such and such will be featuring DJ such and such over the summer. But then, MANUMISSION came along and in effect, Clockwork did the same thing as well.
Yeah.
They bought different DJs, flew them over every week and had different posters every week.
But MANUMISSION, it wasn't about the DJs, was it?
No.
That era.
Yeah.
When I spoke to Alan Warman the other week, he was saying that the era we're talking about is the era of the promoter, isn't it?
Yeah.
So then we had the era of the superstar DJ, and then we got the era of social media, right?
Yeah.
Which kind of mixes into one. But those days, it was all about the promoters.
Yeah.
MANUMISSION and Cream and Renaissance as well.
Yeah.
Did you play Renaissance?
No, I've never. I may have. I don't know.
Of course, into one. When did you become the resident at Space then? What year?
Well, no, what happened was the end of 95, I was back in the UK and I was a resident, towards the end of 95, summer of 95, there was a club in Sheffield called Love to Be. They came over to Ibiza and they said, look, what are you doing in the winter? Do you want to be one of our residents at the Music Factory in Sheffield? So I went back and I was doing that every Saturday for them. And as I was doing that, I got a phone call from the owner of AMNESIA's right-hand man, and they were all based in Barcelona. And they said, look, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm just hanging out up in Sheffield playing at this club and that. They said, do you want to be the resident DJ of AMNESIA every night of the week? Be the main DJ. And I was like, okay, like that. And I said, what do I do now? They said, well, look, get your dog. Go to Ibiza, get your dog, because my dog was still there. They said, get on a plane. You can come and live in Barcelona for a few months.
Yeah.
You can play the clubs that we own over there. So I said, okay. So I did that and I got to Barcelona. And they said, you can eat up in our restaurant. It's next to the Elite Modelling Agency. So I was up there, there's models everywhere. And I'm standing at the bar, having a drink. And I turn around and I'm like, oh, there's Luis Figo. All right, okay. There's Stoikov. You know what I mean? Like that. Yeah. And then I realised, something's changing here. It's like, I better go get some decent clothes. I mean? I look like a right shrimp around these people. And then so I was in Barcelona for a few months and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
It was so good. And then they said, right, your time's come, go down to Ibiza now. And I remember I played...
Were you exclusive to AMNESIA that year?
Yeah, I played. Yeah, well, I still played a bit in Mambo, but not as much.
Yeah.
And then, and Javi was, really encouraging as well. He said, you've got to take the next step, and... Yeah, and I never really.
He would have enjoed that as well, wouldn't he?
Yeah, because he was the first person who ever took me to AMNESIA, and it blew my mind.
Just, what is it? Right? What is it that you think you've got? That you've got Javi backing you, you've got the MANUMISSION boys backing you, you've got the AMNESIA boys backing you. We're going to Space and home.
Yeah.
Like, what is it you've got that they like?
I think being the resident DJ at Mambo helped because it was a hub of if you couldn't network there, then you couldn't network. I mean, there was so many. Every promoter, every DJ was always there. And
was it your music? Was it your personality?
I just hope it's
your technical ability.
I don't think I was technically any different from a lot of DJs at the time. I think my track selection was. I've always thought my track selection is better than somebody else, because I think that's. I always go somewhere and I go, oh, they should be playing this. It's just natural. And I just think it was the right place at the right time. I was playing a mixture of classic house records. Where there were these records that were classics then were only 3 or 4 years old, whereas like obviously they're real classics now. So with new stuff as well, and I suppose, and I just talking to people all the time. You just couldn't help but everyone wanted to talk to you in the DJ box.
You're a very likable person.
Well, I just
little people always are, though.
Yeah, we have to be. And then
JC's 5'5",
yeah,
and I'm 6'7", so it's like the odd couple. When you look back at when you look back at those days in the mid-90s, do you just kind of shake your head and go, wow, what was that all about?
Yeah, at the time I didn't realise.
We never realised.
No, we didn't realise what was going to happen. No. I didn't think the island would be like it is now. Like, I would go and DJ in places, mate, I would go down to Australia and stuff, and they'd never even heard of Ibiza when I went down there. Whereas now, I sit here, you hear Australians, Americans, you never used to hear all that in the old days.
Talking Australia, you DJ'd at Space and then you went to Home, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, what happened was
Home was obviously a club named by the guys who.
Yeah, because I was in AMNESIA,
Sundays, wasn't it?
AMNESIA had so I became the resident DJ of AMNESIA for 96, 97 and 98, and in that time, Cream was every Thursday. And Darren Hughes and James Barton owned Cream. And so at the end of 98, when the season ended, Darren Hughes had left Cream, and he said he's starting a new venture called Home with Paul Oakenfold and Ron McCulloch, who owned, I think, the Tunnel in Glasgow. And he said they're going to open a club in Sydney, and would I like to be the resident down there for the Australian summer, which is our winter. So you're going to go down for like 4 or 5 months, and you're going to play 6 hours every week in like a brand new club. I went down there, and it was unbelievable.
How was the experience?
Unbelievable.
Was it Darling Harbour?
Yeah, Darling Harbour, and it was all brand new because the Olympics was just about to happen.
It's 99, wasn't it?
Yeah, I went there in January 99. I'd never been on a flight more than 3 hours before. I remember we got down there, and it was just so different. Yeah. It was it was a little bit like England, but it felt like America, like it could be America as well, and
did you learn anything over there? Music wise, I mean, how to.
I learned a lot about life.
Did you really?
Yeah.
What did you learn?
Life, love, respect, loyalty. Because there was one point when I got there. I think 99. I got there, and I don't think obviously being there, I think it opened my eyes, to see a different lifestyle. And they loved my music down there, and it went so well. It was going so good. I mean, there was queues going around at Darling Harbour trying to get into the club on a Saturday night. And me and my mates used to just walk up and down the queue, like, say, do you want to come in with us and all that? I mean, we just got away with whatever we wanted to do. And I think, it got to the point where, I started to believe I am the man, because you can't help that when you've got so much going.
Well, you've been told it for several years at this stage.
Yeah, and then sort of, then it sort of came crashing down a bit where, I didn't feel like musically I was good enough anymore. I had a bad relationship with a girl that I met over there. And then I felt like, it was too easy. I could do this, no problem. And then I think,
Did you get a bit ahead of yourself, mate?
Yeah, and I learned a lesson.
Yeah.
And then I took a step back, and then after being in Australia for a few years, I decided to come back and be full-time. That's probably when I became full-time living back in Ibiza, sort of like 2003, 2004.
What was it? What happened? What was the shift inside you where you decided that you needed to have some roots and you wanted to settle down? And why did you settle down in Ibiza?
Well, the thing is like, funny enough, I haven't had a lot of relationships over the years. I was talking about this with some friends recently, and it was.
But you're a DJ.
Yeah, I know. But the thing is when like I was with some mates recently, and they said like, you know, when we used to go out in the old days, you know, like all I cared about was I go into the club and I go straight up to the DJ box. I'd ask him to play a record, and then I would go and dance for 3 hours. You know, and if there was a girl who was involved, then so be it. But it was all about the music for me. And then when I met my wife Katie, it just seemed all to fit perfectly because I'd never met anybody who could deal with me. Do you know what I mean? And not be so bothered by it, you know. Whereas every time before it'd be intense, you know, the DJ this and she was like, yeah, whatever, you're a DJ, okay. Do you know what I mean?
So it all fitted.
Yeah, and so that's what made it, and that's when I felt comfortable, and I was like, right, you know, it's like, I mean, I love living here all year round. Yeah. I mean, it's the best.
Yeah.
It's such a nice island.
When you met Katie, and obviously you've got a daughter now as well, did you change as a person? Were you more settled? What was it inside you that shifted? Yeah,
I think I sort of, you know, music wasn't the be all and end all of a sudden. And then, you know, raising a kid and that, whereas she's 10 years old now, and, you know, like, she's very musical anyway, and that, you know, we've got the piano in the house and stuff. And I mean, I don't travel as much. And if I do, it's I want to do it properly rather than, you know, whereas before, you know, anybody asked me to go and play, I'd get on a plane and just go. Whereas now, you know, it's a lot different. You have to make, you know, plans if I'm going away, you know. So,
well, kids change everything, don't they? You know.
Yeah, and I just love. I feel very, very settled now. Good. I mean, I can't see me ever being anywhere else. I feel completely rooted to this island.
Because there was a time where you were toying with moving back to the UK, wasn't it?
Yeah, we was. I mean, we put a deposit down on a house in St Leonard's in Hastings, and I was just about to go and sign a contract, and we went into lockdown in COVID, and it was when you're only allowed to leave your house for 1 hour per day, and the UK hadn't gone into lockdown at that point. So I had the estate agent in Hastings calling me saying, look, we need you to come over and sign this. Solicitor's done everything. It's just your signature. And I said, I can't leave the apartment. And he was like, do me a favour. Look. And I said, wait, you see. And then 2 weeks later, they called me back and he says, well, actually, I'm working from home now. And it all fell through. And
would you have gone through, if it wasn't for lockdown, would you have gone through with it?
Well, the thing is it was the intention was to buy somewhere. And it was obviously, it's incredibly difficult to buy here at the moment. And so we thought if we could buy somewhere in the UK, we can go and stay there, you know, and if it works out that we could be in both places, then good. If it means we just stay in the UK, we will. And if we have to come back to Ibiza to live, at least we've got something to rent out or to sell or whatever. And so it was just, we just didn't know what was going to happen.
So maybe lockdown.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing.
Funny, actually, for some people it works, some people it didn't.
I mean,
changes the dynamic, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it was just, you know. Then after that, it just for 2 years, it just felt like a dream. Really, didn't it? It just still feels like it didn't really happen.
Listen, I don't even want to talk about.
Yeah, I know it's crazy. It's crazy.
About it. Jace, what's your musical influences then? Because obviously you're a bit of a geek, aren't you? I mean, I think most DJs are geeky,
totally.
Aren't they?
Yeah, you have to be,
because you know you if you're not listening to music or playing music, you're thinking about music. Yeah. What's your musical influences in your life?
Well, I mean, there's so many genres of music that I love. I mean, like I said, I love listening to the Who, the Beatles, the Stones, you know. But then I love, you know, the Stone Roses as well, and. You know, but then when I was at school, I used to listen. I mean, I'd never listened to really what everyone else was listening to, and I was like, you know, James Brown, you know, and then I'd listen to Big Daddy Kane, you know, some hip hop, and then it'd be, you know, NWA, and then it would be Richie Rich or, you know, or Frankie Knuckles. I mean, it was just everything. And because when I used to go clubbing when I was 17, 18, you didn't go to a club and they would just play house music all night. They would play a mixture of funk, house, soul music, and in the last 15 minutes of the night it would be me and Mrs. Jones, you know, like the slow song. So and that's why it worked well in Mambo as well, because my record collection was so vast.
Really, you got really eclectic taste in music. Who was the DJ that really, you know, being a bit of a DJ geek, who was the one you really looked up to growing up and thinking he's the man?
I used to,
or the lady.
Well, as I was growing up, I didn't really look at it like that until I actually started playing myself. And then at the time, it would have probably been Judge Jules,
Yeah.
Alex and Brandon, Carl Cox.
All people you subsequently played with, yeah?
Yeah, totally.
And
yeah.
was it exactly as you thought playing with these people?
It was mental because, like the first time I ever warmed up for Pete Tong, and he came in, he's like, it's the first time we met, he was really quiet with me and now we're really, really good mates. And the same with Paul Oakenfold, we get on really, really well. Todd Terry, we get on really well. And Todd Terry, when I was younger, he was, an amazing influence with his music. And I do now, like I was DJing in last summer and Todd Terry was in the DJ box with me. And I turn around and I can see him shazamming something that I was playing. And I just thought, wow. That's, I know it's only a little bit. It's,
it's...
but for
small gains, mate.
Yeah, I know, it's just incredible. But then he saw me looking and he laughed as well.
Do you think you've got respect from fellow DJs?
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah. I feel really comfortable around a lot of other DJs and, and it's... Yeah, all of them. I mean, they all got time to talk to me and I love it.
Is the DJ box your happy place then?
Yeah, it's got to be one of the best spots in the world. Yeah. I mean, once I get in there, especially after I haven't been in there all winter.
Yeah.
And then I go in there and I'm like, right, that's it, and then I go through my music and I'm looking through my music and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to play that. I can't wait to play that again. I ain't heard that in ages. And it's just mental.
We've talked about up until the millennium.
Yeah.
2000 to 2010 again, the superstar DJs are now coming in, aren't they?
Yeah, it was getting full on then.
Now, there was a time when maybe you could have been a superstar DJ, yeah?
Yeah, well...
Do you think that you missed the boat? Or, talk to me about that. What happened?
Well, the thing is... Yeah, go on. So in the early 2000s, I was travelling a lot. I was doing the whole of South America, all of the States, Canada, Australia, most of Europe, a lot in the UK, and obviously Ibiza. I'd play here on a Sunday. No, sorry, I play in Chicago on a Saturday and then play here on a Sunday. Then, cut the days off and then go play London on a Thursday. And then it started getting, I wouldn't say overkill, but it was like there was so many DJs, and it was just becoming everyone had a record and everyone. And, and I was like...
Is that the shift to digital?
Yeah, that's when it shifted to digital. And I sort of felt a bit lost when that happened because having it on a blank CD with someone writing a bit of what the track was didn't make it feel like it was right to me. I liked going through my records. I didn't really know sometimes what the name of the record was, but I knew what the cover looked like and I knew exactly which track on the vinyl to play. And whereas with the CDs, it just felt very shifted away from that technique as well. Like picking the record up and stuff.
Do you regret not pushing on, Jace?
No, totally not. Because I think because of all that extensive travelling and stuff that I did do.
Because there was a moment in time where you could have been the next big name. Especially with your Ibiza connections.
Yeah.
You say what you've gone through with the Mambo and the AMNESIA, MANUMISSION space, call it what you will. Did you miss the boat?
No, I think, if I did, then I don't think I would. If I went off in that direction, I don't think I'd be here now. I think maybe I would have tailed off. Because I think the only reason I have longevity in this career is because of my loyalty and I've stuck to what I believe in. And there were so many times where I did get bookings and stuff to go away from the island. I'd be like, why am I going away? I just want to be here all the time. And I think sometimes,
money, mate, that's why you
excessiveness is not happiness, and I think, like I said, the community is incredible. You can get anything done now you want because someone knows someone who can do it for you. And I don't know, maybe I wouldn't even be DJing now if I would have gone off in that direction. 93
to 2000 was massive for you.
Massive.
2000 to 2010, you tailed off a little bit, didn't you?
Well, I'd say from...
Is that fair?
Yeah, on the millennium, me and Carl Cox played to 20,000 people on Bondi Beach. That I would say, ended the decade for me. It was like... And then after that, for the next 4 years, it started to drip away and I started to feel less involved.
Why was that, mate?
I suppose spending a lot of time in Australia and then coming back to Ibiza and then going there, and I just didn't feel stable. I just didn't feel like I had any roots anymore, and I was single and stuff, and just every time I did come back here, I just felt like I didn't want to leave. and like you said, then there was the transition from vinyl to digital. Then there was the superstar DJ thing, and then
when you're talking about the superstar DJs, how did you? I mean, none of us saw that coming, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, if we're not fortune tellers, but how did you see that shift? Because I remember one year coming back and it gone from MANUMISSION to big faces on hoardings, and it was all about the DJ.
What happened
wasn't it?
It was basically around. It sort of maybe started in Pasha, where instead of having promoters, they would give the DJ their own night.
So Danny Whittle's to blame then.
Well,
Danny,
but it was genius
I'm sure
at the
he's
time.
listening, so,
but it was genius
of
at the time because the thing is, you would have some promoters just because they've got the connection to, say, Carl Cox or something or whatever. They would say, "Yeah, I can get you Coxie or whatever," and then they would come in. Coxie would play. There'd be zero decoration done, zero this. It's like, might as well just go to Pasha, and they might as well book him straight. And I think that's what happened. The sort of promoter got edged out, and it just got given, because Murillo had his own night, Sanchez had his own night.
Towards the late noughties, wasn't it? Like 8, 9, 10. It really became about the DJs, didn't it?
Yeah, totally.
Obviously, all the promoters dropped off, didn't they? They all kind of disappeared. And then obviously we had Ushuaia opening in 2010, which I thought was in the evolution of Ibiza is a really important.
Yeah.
We're now shifting.
It changed Bossa completely.
Yeah, I think it changed Ibiza because all of a sudden we've gone, regardless of what you think about Ushuaia, it's a world-class venue playing
totally.
world-class entertainment.
Yeah.
And that's where we have the Americans and the Australians and
totally
the non-Europeans coming in as well. How did you cope with that shift to daytime, professionally?
Well, the thing was, Ushuaia just sort of came bowling in really to Bossa, and I think we were a little bit not stagnant at Space on a Sunday, but we were just going through the motions.
Because you're obviously
I'm playing every Sunday.
Space Sunday's your resident, aren't you?
Yeah, so we'd been there for like 6 or 7 years by then, and then and obviously the timing of Ushuaia opening and having Avicii at his absolute peak. So he was doing every Sunday, and it just killed everything. There was nowhere else to go except for there.
That residency for you from Space from 2000 to 2016,
I think. Was it?
I mean, you were there for a long time, weren't you?
Yeah, it's 17 years, I think. Yeah,
wow.
something like that.
Just describe.
Well, no, I'm on Resident Advisor. I'm actually listed as the DJ that's played there more than any other, and so I'm number 1 and Cox is number 2.
Wow.
But
it's not a bad claim to fame, mate.
Yeah, no, he's probably had a lot better set times than I've had. But,
do you get the graveyard?
Yeah.
Because Space now, everyone gets misty-eyed and the mythical Space. What was it actually like?
It was lawless. It was, you just did not know what was going to happen. It was, you would go in and, it was a mixture of people who had been out for 2 days with people who had just landed and ready to go. And it just all came together like that. And, instead of like playing big tune after big tune, you would set the scene by for 10 minutes just playing the same groove with just some little bits coming up and down. Then all of a sudden you spill a groove jet and the place would explode. Really? And the feeling of standing up there knowing that you got them in the palm of your hand and and I know what record's coming next, and I'm the only person in that whole club that knows what's about to happen, right? And that is the buzz. When you go, I know what's going to happen in a minute. Because I'm about to drop this.
But you know it.
I know what's going to happen as soon as I drop this. I know what's going to happen, and so that anticipation is actually more exciting than when it happens. It's crazy what it does. Yeah.
How would you describe those years at Space? What was the vibe like? And I mean, again, it's a different era, but I mean, just tell me what it was like to be the resident of Space.
It was funny.
Yeah.
It was really funny.
There was no roof on the terrace.
But the thing is, you go in there and everybody was just having a laugh. It was just all about, and it wasn't like now where everyone's right up against looking at the DJ, the phones in the face. People were dancing with each other, looking at each other, and not really focusing on what the DJ was doing all the time.
What did you think when Carl Cox did his residency there? Did you see it going corporate? What was the shift? Did you?
No, when Coxie started doing it, I actually thought, he was keeping it real with the scene, because a lot of the guests, like Matthew Bushwhacker, and people, Sven Vath and, Richie Houghton, because it was Carl Cox and friends. And I think it kept that musical genre and vibe going on the island. And then obviously it moved around a bit. I think it went to DC 10 for a while. And I think it's, and Coxie, you know, is what he's done for this island musically, and obviously to spread the word across the world. Because I mean, I don't think any DJ's played around the world as much as he has.
Yeah.
You know, and he's so identifiable with this island.
Did you play? You obviously played the closing party of Space, didn't
Yes.
you? How did you feel about that?
I didn't like it. It was, you know, because it was, you know, when I go and play at Space, I want to play for 2 or 3 hours, you know, and everyone was given like a half an hour set or a 45-minute set. Was
it emotional though, Jace?
In a way, I mean, the thing was is you couldn't move. It's you know, and then by the time we got to the DJ box, like me and Andy Baxter went on, we sort of shared our set together so we could play a bit longer. But, you know, you looked out to the crowd and it was almost like some people couldn't even have their feet on the floor because it was that packed.
High, how did you see high? How did you see the transition from Space to High? What was you thinking about it? Did you expect it to go so well?
Well,
because I know you play High toilets these days.
Yeah. Well, what happened?
What was it called? The
Wild Corner. Yeah, with WC, isn't it?
Yeah. So, it is, yeah.
So what had happened was so Space closed, and then I was basically just playing. I did a few gigs at AMNESIA in the summer, but I just basically at Mambo most of the time. I was doing a lot of boat parties as well. And I didn't go to High when it opened, and it was a couple of years in, and I still hadn't gone. It was the beginning, I think, of 2019. Leslie Tapman, who was running everything, she said, "Come and meet me for a coffee." And she said, "You know, the Wild Corner, have you been in now?" I said, "I haven't been to High since it's changed over."
Why?
I don't know. Because I always, I'm funny when it comes to like when I go and do gigs and stuff. Like when I go to play in another country, they'll say to me when I land, "Do you want to come and check the club out before tonight?" And I say, "No, I don't want to see the club empty. I don't want to see what the DJ box looks like. I love getting to the club, the crowd's in there, and I assess it when I get there because I don't like thinking ahead what I'm going to do." And I thought, I want to play at High, but I don't want to go in there and see it all. And I know it's really silly, but it's just the way.
No, I totally get it.
Yeah, I just like.
It took me what, 3 years to go to High?
And it wasn't because I didn't want to go. No. It was just I didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't go to Paradise either. I didn't go Pasha.
But it's so different from Space as well, isn't it? You know, it's like comparing apples to chips.
Yeah, I mean, it's a streamlined club, and it works very well, and it does everything you want it to do. You know, the lights in there are unbelievable. The shows in there are unbelievable.
And tell me about the Wild Corner.
Yeah, so then Leslie said to me, "Would you like to do every Friday 6 hours in there?" And I said, "Okay, let's do it." And then so a week before I was supposed to start, Glitterbox asked me to do the opening for them at High in the Wild Corner. So I went in there, and it's the first time I've seen it, and DJ Pippi from Pasha was playing, and so I was going on after him. So I went on, and it was like a kid in a sweet shop moment, you know. It was like I had all this music, I had all these people right up in my face and exactly what they wanted to hear. I had a massive bucket full of Heineken, you know. It was like nothing can go wrong. And then after about 2 hours of playing, I blacked out because I was drinking too much. And I woke up in my bed and I looked down and I still got my shoes on. And I'm like, I don't remember leaving the club. What have I done? Right. So I got onto Rattan, who was driving me. And he said, "No, you're all right. You're good. Have a look on Instagram." So I looked on Instagram and it's gone viral, you know. And it's like this, it was like hundreds of thousands of views and all this. And
so you can't remember.
And I was like, I don't remember playing this record when it was on the video. And then I got onto Charlie Tapman, Leslie Tapman's husband. He was, "Yeah, you smashed it. We're all talking about it in the office this morning." And I was like, like he said, "We did have to tell you to stop playing the same records a couple of times." But he said, apart from that, and I was
that
like,
just the excitement of the day?
Yeah, it was. It just got to me. Yeah. Well, the thing, it was funny because when I got there, Gary Lineker was at the bar, you know, and I was like, "Yeah, Gary Lineker's here," and all that. It was just
ex-Spurs player.
Yeah, and then you know, and then Simon Dunmore was in the DJ box with me, and it was Glitbox opening, and first time I'd ever been there as well. Just drank too much Heineken, and then. So then the following week I started the Fridays there, and they started going really good. I think I did like 18 Fridays in a row, and then COVID hit. So obviously for 2 years couldn't do it. And then when we was getting to the end of COVID, and they said they were going to open the club again, I wasn't sure if they were going to call me back because it had been a couple of years. And they said, "No, we want you back straight in." they said, but you're going to do Wednesdays with Fisher now. So I think it's 3 summers done there now.
Do you enjoy it?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah,
no, it's mad,
it's an absolute blowout.
It's mad, isn't it?
It's good. It's just
It's actually as close to old school Ibiza.
Yes. Well, it's actually the toilets in High are where the toilets used to be behind the terrace.
Right.
So there was God knows things going on in there in the old days.
But you know,
anyway.
it's that kind of, you're within touching distance
Oh
of the
yeah,
DJ.
definitely. They're nicking my baseball cap, everything.
The music is ridiculous.
Yeah, and the sound system's incredible. The lighting's incredible, and it's clean.
It's old school Ibiza.
It's very clean in there. You know, they've got cleaners in there constantly. I mean, we every now and then after me and Flip Flop, we take a bottle of Nivea with us just in case someone drops one off before we start. But yeah, but it's great. I love playing there.
What's your favourite club in the world? Not just Ibiza, in the world. Go on.
I would have to say Pasha, Buenos Aires.
Okay.
Yeah, incredible. I went down and played there maybe 2001, something like that. And I got to the club and the music wasn't very loud. And the guy said, right, you go on now. So as I've gone on, he started turning the amps up slowly. So it started, and I thought, that's good. That's clever. Respect. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was like, I felt, because like, normally I go in somewhere and they're banging it out before me. But they were actually like keeping it real. And then I remember playing. And then halfway through my set, I needed to go to the toilet, so I ducked out quickly. And when I came back, the track was in a massive breakdown, but the whole club was sitting on the floor. And I was like, you know, sit down, you know, like they're 2 to a penny now, aren't they? And you see them in the clubs. But I was like, I've never seen this before. And I said to the light controller, have I disrespected them by leaving the DJ box? He said, no, they're respecting you. So he says, they do. He said, watch. So as the music came back up, they all jumped in the air and went off. I mean, I had shivers all over me. And he said, the first time they ever did that was for Sasha. And I said, that's brilliant. I said, me and Sasha getting a sit down. And then I came back to Ibiza the next day or the day after that. And I was having my dinner up at Sakapaya, as you do. And Jeff Oakes from Renaissance was sitting on the other table. And he was like, where you been? And I said, I've just done Pasha in Buenos Aires. He goes, did they do a sit down for you? I said, yeah. He said, oh. He said, well, it's you and Sasha there. And I was like, yeah.
What's great story, mate, like that. What's your most memorable moment behind the decks? As in, you know, not necessarily the best or the worst. What was the most memorable time you had?
There was a funny one when I weren't actually behind the decks. I jumped out into the dance floor on the terrace at Amnesia on one closing party, and the record was running out. So rather than run round and get in the DJ box, I actually hung over the front of it.
You've been at Heineken?
Yeah, and I was DJing from the other side of the... So it was all back to front.
Yeah.
That was quite a moment. But I don't know, I think, you know, the first time I did the opening party of Amnesia in 96, I remember coming on at like 2:00 in the morning, and the club's obviously absolutely heaving, and it's, you know, it's a real, you know, Spanish, Italian, you know, German, Dutch, English. It's, you know, and I knew the first record had to be, you know, universal. It had to, and Robert Miles' Children had just come out.
Yeah.
And I played that, and
thank you, mate, yeah.
Well, the place just absolutely took off. I mean, the record had only just come out, you know, and everybody just started hearing it on the radio. You know, David Morano would have been playing it on I can't remember the station on his show. It was Ibiza Global. That's Global, it, yeah. And and that was pretty special. And lots of times at Space and at home in Sydney, and yeah, they just all gel into
one. Good career, mate, you've had, isn't it?
It's a long one.
It's still going, by the way.
It's still going, yeah, that's the thing. 31 years.
Let's go back to Ibiza, Jace, because I want to get some thoughts about the island. Obviously, it's changed over the years. Yeah. You're now a father. You've been here over 30 years. How do you view the changes from, you know, back in the day? I mean, we tend to look at it with rose-tinted specs. Yeah. How do you view the changes to the island?
Well, obviously... there's a lot of pluses that technology brings. You know, it's like, remember in the old days, you know, you had to get hold of a satellite dish and then get a decoder. You know, then someone who could get you a card in England and put it in their bank details, so you could watch Sky News. You know, it was like, and the movie channel. So, you know, it's great to be here and be able to have everything so accessible. But obviously, with that comes drawbacks and stuff.
Do you look back and you know, there's a lot of people like, it's not as good as it used to be. I mean, how do you stand?
Well, the way I see it is, it's like when I first got here, I had my experience, you know, and my Ibiza moment, I should say. And I think people who still never been here before and come here this year, they will have that same thing, but they will just see it in a different...
It's different era, isn't it?
That's all it is.
Yeah.
You know, I see, nothing will be like the old days because we had so much fun. You know, it was a lot of fun.
And also we were of an age. Weren't we?
Yeah, I know, but it was just such a good laugh.
I think I was speaking to Alan Warman, he said like the control the decibels and nowadays, back in the day, it wasn't like that, was it?
Well, it still was, so to speak, like at the big clubs, because I remember in Amnesia we had a red siren light in the DJ box, you know, so if anyone was coming, you know, like the authorities or whatever, they would press the button at the door, tell me, and I'd turn it down.
Right, gotcha.
You know, it's like, and there was always problems down the West End with sound as well. It's funny because the guy used to be the sound engineer at Mambo. He went on to join the Guardia Civil. And they made him the head of the sound, so he would go around to the bars and check the limiters and stuff like that. So I remember he came back in uniform to Mambo and he was like, hey, like, I was like, all right, turn it down.
When was, during your years here, I mean, when was the moment where you really thought Ibiza was your home? And when did the penny drop?
I suppose it would have been, probably when I came back from Australia in 2004. And I was living above Ray de Coppers next to Mambo, which is now Mint. And I just thought, I don't want to go anywhere else now. That's it. And then even in the winter, there'd be like, I remember that winter because I was, single and there was not many people down that area. I'd go for like 3 or 4 days without speaking to people, but I'd be like just content just to be there. You know, and then obviously it'd come the weekend and we'd arrange to go into town or whatever. And I just thought, you know what, this is where I need to be now because I just feel so comfortable with it.
Where's your happy place here on the island? Doesn't have to be home, for instance, but, where do you like to spend time with the family, with friends? Where do you like to go? Well,
we like to go to many Del Deer cafes, you know what I mean? We go to Al Jovic, go to the Piranha, and then,
proper local you are now.
I just love that kind of thing. And then, in San Ann, you got Esclot and La Saprenza. I love going to these little, Spanish many Del Deers, and then you see all the old school Ibiza in there as well. People who basically own most of everything, and they're sitting there having, a little cheap bottle of wine or whatever. It's brilliant. That's the kind of thing I like.
And what's the bad things? I mean, I know I don't like to focus on things. What's the bad things these days?
Well, obviously the housing, and I know they was talking about it yesterday. I don't really, it's going to help, whatever. But, it's a shame to see, the gap between, what people are getting paid and what people have to pay to live.
Ibiza is really difficult to live in these days, isn't it? With the cost of living and the houses. It's
tough.
The
cost of living's gone up everywhere, not just here.
But the wages haven't. That's the problem with Ibiza, isn't it?
I mean, I'm lucky enough to earn a decent wage, more than getting by, but... I see a lot of people living in cars and in camper vans just in the summer because they come here and they just can't afford to rent just for the summer because, the market pushes the price up, doesn't it? And if there's people coming in and willing to pay it, then you can't stop someone from charging that, really, can you?
No, well, it's the market decides.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I've got a confession to make, Jace, because I read nothing bad. I remember you did an interview once in a magazine. It might have been DJ Magazine or something, and they asked you to sum up Ibiza in one sentence.
Don't. This comes back and haunts me all the time.
And you said dandruff of the devil.
Caspa del Diablo.
Yeah. You said dandruff of the devil, right? Talk to me about that, Jace.
Well, it's just when I got to Ibiza, I opened my eyes and saw a lot of things going on that I'd never seen before in my life.
But I love that when you said it at the time because it really resonated with me.
Well, yeah, and I just thought,
it was right, yeah.
When I just thought to myself, what are they doing? Well, it's the dandruff of the devil. He's taking, but I actually asked the Spanish person, I said, how do you say that in Spanish? I mean, Caspa del Diablo. So I actually said it like that from then on.
No, I'm going to re-ask you. So if you can sum up Ibiza to 2025 version of Jason Bond, right, how would you sum Ibiza up these days?
I actually can't wait for it.
Really?
I love it. I mean, I'm going to start working Mambo's probably April time, I would imagine, if it's like last year. And then I've got my stuff with High, which will start sort of June time. And then there's various things like Amnesia and Pikes and stuff like that. And it's just all stuff I'm really looking forward to doing. I just, You know,
Pikes is always great fun. As well,
yeah, I've been doing quite a few Mondays down there last year, and it's been really good because I can go in and you know.
That Monday night at Pikes is a real old school vibe as well, isn't it?
I think I ended up playing like 10 times last year. Like Stuart would like just call me a couple of nights before and be like, because they didn't want anyone to know what's going on. So he'd be like, "Oh, can you play tomorrow?" I'd be like, "All right, yeah, Monday night's easy." Yeah, and I really, really enjoyed it down there. It's an iconic place, really, isn't it? Yeah, I did Freddie Mercury's birthday party, and it was good because I was playing, Rockwell, Someone's Always Watching Me, and Grace Jones, Pull Up to the Bumper, and one night in Bangkok, stuff like that, and it was just all, because it was all that, it all mixed in together, and everyone was singing along. It's a good laugh.
Now, Pikes has had an incredible year, isn't it?
Yeah.
Any future plans and projects? Anything you've got to tell me?
Not really. I mean,
apart from Spurs struggling again.
Well, we've got Arsenal coming up, but I know Spurs. I mean, it's just
so Spursy, aren't they?
I know
it's so Spursy.
I mean, it's funny because
and you in or out?
In definitely. Yeah. I think they've got to let him stay. I mean, and we're just injury riddled at the moment. That's the problem.
You keep coming on the excuses, mate. That's right. Finally, dogs.
Yeah.
Right. Buster. I love that. Well, you mentioned Buster. You've always got a dog, haven't you?
Yeah, I know. I love them.
What is it about dogs?
I don't know. It's like I got Buster when I was, I think, 14 or 15 years old. And
we all remember Buster.
Yeah. It was so famous, and then when I came here to start working and that, I thought I'm going to take my dog with me, because my mum was like, "I'm not having that dog round here," and so I got him on a plane and we flew over and he just integrated, and everybody just wanted to walk him, and everyone wanted to love him, and everyone.
Because I always see you walking them. Because you've got 2 dogs now, haven't you? Yeah.
No. I've only got the one at the moment.
Oh right, sorry. Yeah. So I always see you walking your very big dog.
Yeah, he's a big one.
He's a big one, isn't he?
Yeah.
What is it about dogs that you love so much?
I don't know. I just think
because you've always had a dog.
Yeah. Well, it's just I love walking, so I might as well take a dog with me.
Yeah.
I have always thought to myself, home's more secure when you've got an animal in your house.
Very true.
And also, I think it's a good dynamic to have with the family, with my daughter, because she absolutely adores him. And as big as he is, he's as soft as anything with her. And I just think, if I didn't have, I need something to get up to do in the morning. And if I know I've got to get up and walk the dog, then I'll get up and walk the dog. And I think that's what it is. And they're good companions, loyal, my main thing.
Well, Jason, great to see you today.
Thank you.
And I'll be passing you when you walk the dog many times.
Yes.
Thanks for taking the time to have a chat.
My pleasure.
Join me and tell me about your Ibiza journey.
Right.
Good luck for the summer.
Yeah, let's have an update at the end, eh?
Yes, mate.
All right, nice one, mate.
Thanks, Jason. Hope you enjoyed that. I did. It was great to talk to Jace about the last 30 years. I think he's probably one of the best people to talk about the evolution of clubbing. He was dropping some big names as well, wasn't he? And in the week that Carl Cox has been confirmed to return to Universe, which is the new version of Coup and Privilege, I thought it was very relevant, the things he was saying today. So hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. That was Jason By coming up with some bangers, not just on the turntable, but on the podcast this time. Thanks for listening as always, and I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you for listening to the Man in Sanan podcast with Martin Makepeace, #1 for news and views from Ibiza.